these individuals, because if we don't advocate for these issues, the inequality gap will be getting wider and wider. And what we are trying to do is to close the inequality gap. Then advocacy influences policy. It provides decision makers with data and public pressure needed to reform laws and budgets. And that is where that policy influencing comes. When you provide decision makers, like I said earlier, that many of these legislators, they are busy people, they don't have time for chit chat and talking. So if you are able to show them the data, like this is the reason why, like this is the consequence of the reason why there are 80 million youths in Nigeria that are unemployed. There's a consequence, there's a reason for that. You are trying to show them the data, you are bringing facts and figures, you've done the research, you've gone to research and bring evidence as to why this issue needs to be addressed, why there needs to be a policy implemented to address this issue. Then it brings about influences change. You're able to make this issue a burning desire in the hearts of these legislators and bring about a change. And advocacy also fosters social justice. So it works to dismantle barriers and discrimination within communities. Like what Priscilla said about before she joined the organization, she didn't know about the different levels of autism, how some people can be, maybe how she was saying that there should be a level of inclusivity in schools and all that. So if you've heard about this issue, this is a social justice issue, and you're like, this issue is really important to me, it's a burning desire for me, and I want to talk about it, I want to advocate for it, either on my social media, it could be on print media, it could be on TV, on radio, or even in my immediate community, letting people, that there are different types of advocacy. There's campaigning where you're mobilizing for support. So maybe Priscilla doesn't just want it to just be her that is advocating for that. She wants to mobilize support. She wants to get people to also buy into this idea, into this issue that she feels is very burning and is very important in society. So it fosters social justice. So you are dismantling barriers. People might have certain perceptions or myths. So advocacy also cancels the myths that people have around certain issues, like what she said about in autism. Now, if she didn't learn about it, and if she's not even, like, as a social media manager now, those comments that people say, oh, autism in Nigeria, that with time, if people are seeing those things, they are learning, and okay, this is not a strange issue in one strange man's land. This is issue that is really affecting us here in our own immediate community. So it brings about social justice. It fosters social justice. So now we're going to the types of advocacy. We have individual advocacy, group advocacy, public interest advocacy, and self-advocacy. So I want us to, but it will be very quick. Like, I just want maybe to go around the rooms, different clusters, one person, people that have not spoken before, please, that to just say something. So you read what individual advocacy is. One person from what cluster should I start with now? I haven't heard that lady talk. Yes. So maybe you just start and read. Please, what's your name? No, not you, ma. The lady with the glasses. Yes. Yes. Favor. Okay. So please, can you read the first line? What individual advocacy means and what you understand by individual advocacy.
So, individual advocacy focuses on supporting one person to ensure their specific rights are upheld and needs are met, e.g., a lawyer representing a client or a parent fighting for a child's school needs. So, but I have a question regarding this. Yes, earlier while we were talking, you mentioned advocacy is like general, like for a larger cause and everything, but this is like for a particular person. Exactly, this is like for a particular person. So is this not contradicting what we mean by advocacy, like reaching for a larger need if we advocate for just one person?
Okay, yeah. So a good example, Madam Polani will, I think she wants to say something. Yeah, so a good example is the mommies in our house that they have their children with them with special needs, right? So they want to be advocates for inclusivity of the children like theirs, like with their special needs to be included in schools, right? So they can decide to become, they can be individual advocates. So it is a shoe that pinches them. They have a child that has special needs, and they want to meet the legislators and say, these policies need to be implemented for our children to be included in schools. So they are gathering support. It could just be one person, but you are trying to create awareness. You are trying to let the legislators, the policy makers, decision makers aware of this issue. So you can say like a lawyer representing a client. So maybe a client that is an out of school child or whatever. That is just one single child, but it has pointed towards an issue that affects a large group of people, a certain demographic, that you know that if a policy helps this certain demographic, it's going to not only help that person that you're helping, but a larger group of people. Yes. So yes, Madam Ijoma. Ijoma, right? Yes.
Thank you. When you were just highlighting some things there, but I also want to say that is it each and
Yes.
I want to give an example, because a lot of us here might be doing even individual advocacy and they don't know.
Yes.
Let me use myself as an example. If you go into any of my social media page, in my bio, it lists there where you will see boldly, advocate for persons with intellectual disability. In as much as I work with an organization, Down Syndrome Foundation Nigeria, individually, not on the platform of Down Syndrome, me on my platform, if you go through my timeline, 60-70% of the things you see there is about advocacy for persons with intellectual disability. So you might already be doing individual advocacy even without you knowing. In my WhatsApp status page, if you view 10 times, most times 6 to 7 times, you're getting advocacy points depending of what. Today, as we are living here, I can assure you, my timeline will be flooded with what we are doing. Now, personally, I'm also sending this in, and of course, my organization timeline will be flooded with it, but personally, my timeline will be flooded with what we do. In fact, I was saying that I will start asking them for their tags so that I can tag, in most of personally. That is a very good example of individual advocacy. And now, as a mother, as a parent, I know how many times I've talked to people. I know how many times when people say things, the language, instantly, I don't waste time. Me and you are having a conversation, you make a statement about, instantly, I'm correcting you. That's the kind of advocacy to say, oh, this is not a good disability-friendly this thing. So apart from that too, I write personally in my own name. I write things, I pick, like, let's say, Nothing Without Us for us. I pick points, advocacy point. I write about, include individually, put it out there to the media houses, and get it published. It's a kind of solo effort individually.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ma. So I think with what she has said, so we are clear with what, yes, Madam Bolani.
Just let me give a scenario of self-advocacy that most of us we engage in that we don't even know. Like there was a time, I think about 5 or 6 years ago, a lady with a special need, I think deaf and dumb sight, applied, yes, a special need, hearing, had a problem, and she applied. I mean, she sat down for a WAEC, and she was qualified. She was given admission to a university. She understand. At that university, they later said because of her disability problem, they will not allow her to sit in the class with other people in the class. So later, somebody who is a learned person now heard about it. He was having the same challenge, and he was able to come in and invited, I will say my husband, because he's a legal practitioner, and he took it upon himself and took this case. And at the end of the day, the institution said no, this is their deeds. They fought the battle, and at the end of the day, this lady won that she should be allowed to be in the class and carry on with her course. Eventually, this lady passed with, I think, a distinction at the end of the day. They won the case, and that has been written, and that law is now established that because the learner person advocates for her, if that man, he has not taken it upon himself to fight the battle and advocate for her, do you know that that was how they will now render the lady useless, and she will be miserable, and she will not be able to be what she is today.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's
Thank you
a
very much, ma'am.
different way we advocate, and I think that is just an example
Yes,
from
ma'am.
my own side.
Yes, thank you very
That
much,
most
ma'am.
of us, or some of us that we are a professional, can carry upon ourselves to advocate for each
Yes,
individual.
thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. So a key point to note is that advocacy is what? Organized action. If you look at the very first slide, it's organized action, meaning that it could be yourself that is doing the advocacy, but you're using a form of structured way. Your social media, on radio, on TV, even mobilizing support, like you're talking to fellow people and trying to create awareness in the minds of people so that they are maybe able to use their resources or their time to help you advocate for that particular cause that is passionate to you. So it's organized action. So even if it's just one person, there's still a way that, because advocacy is what is trying to make sure that a policy is implemented to bring about social change for a large group of people. So, and then because of want of time, we'll just go through the others so that we don't really waste time. The other facilitator is already here and we need to speed up with my own session. So we have group advocacy. It involves people with shared experiences coming together to speak up collectively on issues that affect them all. So we are in different clusters. We have those of us in the deaf cluster, the intellectual cluster, and the psychosocial cluster. So we know the issues that are very pertinent to us, that are very important to us. So, and we have this shared experience. Many of us already know what is. We have similar experiences, and so we know how to come together to make a strong voice and advocate for ourselves. Then public interest. Please, can I get the second mic? This one feels like Please, where's the second mic? Okay. So for public interest advocacy, it promotes broader social change by influencing public policy and social attitudes to benefit the entire society or a sideline group. And here, this kind of this third point hints at the one that comes to mind is vote buying in electoral. 2027 is fast approaching. We'll soon vote. And public interest, a lot of people feel like their vote doesn't count. Every time, I don't want to vote, I beg, blah, blah, blah. So if you're able to change the minds about people's attitudes towards voting, towards the electoral process, you're able to change people's minds about maybe issues, maybe what people know about autism, what people know about ADHD. You are trying to create a social change so that you are gradually trying to make people aware of these issues and letting them changing. Attitudinal change it's not a one-time thing. Social behavioral change is not a one-time thing. It's something that is gradual over the years. The more you are speaking up about it, the more you are advocating about it, there will now be a change, and change in attitude, change in behavior, change in response to those social issues. So promotes broader social change by influencing public policy and social attitudes to benefit the entire society or a sideline group. And then self-advocacy, so empowering individuals to speak up for themselves, express their own views, and make their own choices. We are all learning how to be advocates here. So even if we are group advocates, we can also advocate for ourselves for the different issues that we feel affect us. I have this is an issue that says maybe I have a brother or a sister that's has an intellectual disability, or I am somebody with an intellectual disability. So I am learning how to speak up for myself, learning how to lobby, learning how to campaign, learning how to do research on the facts and figures and evidence that will be able to drive the change in policy implementation or policy adaptation or policy review or things like that. Because at the end of the day, we all have actors for an advocacy to be successful, all the actors involved in that advocacy need to be work together. Because if I'm advocating and talking to legislators and they do not listen, you know that advocacy is not successful. So an advocacy is not a one-day thing. It takes years. It's not that you do it once and you feel you're tired. So it's a constant thing that you're doing. And you know that reaching our legislators, reaching our decision makers, letting them know about issues that are important to us does not take a one-time thing. It's something that you do repeatedly, telling them this issue, I'm hammering on it. It's something that needs to be brought to the forefront. So levels of advocacy, please let's go to the next slide. Levels of advocacy. Local level, that is engaging with community leaders and district offices to address immediate neighborhood specific issues. Why in our immediate neighborhood? Why is it that maybe the road to our market is bad? Something that you know that can be addressed in your neighborhood, like it is not a national issue. It is something that maybe our local government chairman can address. It's something that our district head can and that is where we have that's why we have to be very. We have to put our ears down and be aware of town hall meetings, community meetings where people gather to talk to their leaders, to their kings, or to their village chiefs about issues that affects us. So that is where it comes to. You are engaging with community leaders, district offices, your local government chairman, AMAC chairman, Buhari area council chairman. You are discussing with them to address immediate neighborhood specific issues. Then national level, that is national level, influencing parliament, government ministries, and national budget to create wide-scale legislative change. I don't know if anybody knows this. There's this NGO that does something called Follow the Money. I don't know if it's budgets. I can't remember. So, but there's a way they keep accounts. Like they try to ensure that if you say that this is the money that's been allocated for health, how much has been spent in the health sector? This is how much has been allocated for education. If you say you allocated 360 million, is that what do you actually 360 million in the health sector in the last 4 or 3 years or whatever you claim you want to spend that money? So influencing parliaments, government ministries, and national budget to create wide-scale legislative change. And that is why we as advocates in our different CSOs and CBOs, we have issues that are important to us and we are trying to influence government. You reach out to the Ministry of Health or Ministry of State Minister, is it for FCT, for health, all those kind of people that you know that are key decision makers. You reach out to them. Then regional level, working with regional bodies like the European Court of Human Rights or African Union to set precedents and standards across multiple countries. You know, okay, like ECOWAS, you know that there are issues that affect we in West African countries that are very particular to we in West African. There are issues that affect maybe we as a whole in the African region. So you can be an advocate because the higher you go in your career, you could find yourself in places like the African Union. You could find yourself working in ECOWAS. And though there are issues that I feel like should be brought to the limelight in those places. So you are working there because many of these issues that we are talking about, as autism is an issue here in Nigeria, is also an issue in other West African countries. And maybe there's a policy, the policy that affects West African countries. There's no policy there on maybe how people with autism should be treated in certain ways or how they could be included in decision-making processes and things like that. So the more you go in your advocacy, you advance in your advocacy career, the more you are open and exposed. You are open and exposed. This is too loud. You begin to advocate for such issues. Then global level, targeting international institutions like the UN, the WHO to address worldwide crises. Who can tell me what is one worldwide crisis that we are currently facing right now? Thank you, very good. So climate change, that's a course I'm taking on climate change and AI, how AI policy and climate change work together. So if you find yourself in a place like WHO, and there are issues that you know that this is an issue that is cross countries, not just my own country, affects people, the demographic I'm trying to advocate for, you target those international institutions because many a time they have meetings. They just finished one high-level summit meeting on AI in India. So if you find yourself in those places, you can begin to advocate and talk to people, begin to plant. When advocacy is a step, but it's not a one-day thing, like I said. It's a step that, so you are beginning to create awareness. You are mobilizing support, bringing about what attitudinal change, bringing about awareness, making people aware of those issues. So now we go to the different roles. So we have different actors in advocacy. And so we'll quickly go through the different roles of those actors in advocacy. And the first one is the role of civil society organizations in advocacy. And many of us here I'm from a civil society organization. Many of us are work in civil society organizations. And so we want to talk about their role. So CSOs do what? Watchdog. They are like watchdogs and accountability partners to prevent abuse of state power. So CSOs act as intermediaries that aggregate citizen preferences and restrain the abuse of state power, meaning that sometimes our legislators and decision makers can just sit at the top and think that, oh, this is the issue that really affects the citizens. But CSOs, we can come together and be like, what people are trying to spend money on is not what is our concern right now. There are issues. There are so many marginalized, vulnerable communities that have issues that need to be addressed, and this is what we should bring to the front burner. So what do? We act as watchdogs. The money that you said you wanted to spend on health and education for out of school children, is that how much you spent? So CSOs do those checks. We make sure that we are ensuring that government doesn't just spend the resources or use their resources as they like. Like they said, aggregate citizens' preferences. So we are citizens, what are our pressing issues? And this is what we are bringing to your phone knowledge. This is what we are bringing to the front burner. Then secondly, we do what? Legislative influence. We engage in legislative advocacy by drafting bills, providing technical evidence to the National Assembly, and monitoring budgets. So many of us, because we as CSOs, we carry out a lot of research. We work with those at the grassroots, and we also, in a way, we are also advocating and reaching out to legislators. So we know these issues. We carry out this research. We've done the data. We've drafted the policy bills. We can help many of these legislators. That many of them, they are not the one. They are just sitting on their high horses and thinking that something is happening there. But many of us, we know what is actually happening in our different societies. So we bring the facts and figures. We are showing them the evidence and saying, these are the issues, and we draft a bill. You can help legislators to draft a bill. I don't know, does anybody know PLAC, Policy and Legislative Advocacy Center? Yeah, so PLAC does a lot of that kind of work, a lot of policy and legislative issues. So they help the National Assembly and draft bills that can be passed, bills that actually will make a difference in the lives of citizens. Then grassroots CSOs do what? They empower marginalized groups, e.g. women and children, through legal aid and awareness campaigns to demand social equity. I know that many of us in our different organizations have done some form of community outreach, community mobilization. So we are like intermediaries because we are reaching those in the grassroots. We are also trying to make sure we are advocating for the needs of those in the grassroots and even our own needs to the legislators. So grassroots mobilization, we empower marginalized groups. Many of those in the marginalized groups might not have a voice, but we have the voice and we understand their needs, we help to advocate for them. Then the role of private sector in advocacy. The private sector does what? Resource and innovate. The private sector is a resource and innovation provider. The private sector acts as a source of technical knowledge, research, and innovative solutions for complex challenges like migration and infrastructure. We in this, we are trying to do what we call social change. It's something we are passionate about. People in the private sector, it's not passion. It is for what? For money. Whatever they do is for what? Money and profits. So please, can you move to the next slide for yes, in the private sector, they act as a source for technical knowledge, research, innovation, solutions for complex strategies and migration or infrastructure. So we as CSOs can reach out to those in the private sector. You people have the money for us to carry out an effective advocacy. So you can provide the technical knowledge, because many of these big organizations, Dangote, MTN, even some of these are banks or multinationals. They come from different countries. They already have knowledge. They are coming from advanced countries, and some of the knowledge and technical knowledge they have, or the innovative ideas they have, can be implemented here. So they can work with CSOs to make sure that they bring that innovative idea, that research. They do, private institutions, they also do CSR. Yeah, so that is another way of being advocate. Like, okay, I think Access Bank does one wash sanitation, something like that, that they do in different communities that do not have wash facilities, water and sanitation facilities. They also help with that. Please, why you? Okay. Private sector, please. Yes, so economic lobbying. Private sector influences the business environment by advocating for integrity, fair competition, and collective action against corruption to attract investment. And a good example I would like to give is what Dangote is doing with our petroleum and fuel distribution. You know, some people now buy from his the filling stations that he supplies to, and they are not, he's not under NUPENG, NUPENG, the National Union for Petroleum, whatever like that. So he kind of, what he's doing right now is kind of bringing fair competition. Because for the longest time, after the subsidy was removed, we did not know that fuel prices could come down a bit, right? But what Dangote has done, he's able to supply fuel. People that buy from his fuel, they can see that, okay, fuel price can actually be reduced to a certain amount. And even people are even saying that because of that, that is what's even causing our dollar prices, the dollar whatever to be dropping. So you can see what the private sector can do. So, and you know that is an individual advocate. Because Dangote really fought and struggled, that he was even saying his tired of doing business in Nigeria is a lot of it's a struggle and all of that. But what did he do? He made all of us aware that somehow fuel prices can come down. It doesn't have to be that high. So what did he do? The private sector can influence the business environment by advocating for integrity and fair competition. With the NUPENG were just there, they just put a certain price, and all of us were buying fuel like that. But we have now seen that fuel can actually come, the price of fuel can come down without subsidy. And collective action against corruption to attract investments. And then the last point is that there's CSR. Private sector partners with CSOs and government to promote sustainable social development, such as gender equality. The MTN health initiatives that they carry it out with governments, they carry it out with CSOs like us. So we all work. The private sector has the resources, they have the money to be able to implement that advocacy, to make our advocacy successful. So we know what needs to be changed. We might not have the resources, but we know what needs to be changed. We can reach out to the private sector that have resources, mobilize, and that is where campaigning comes in. They are mobilizing support, creating awareness in the mind that this is a very pertinent issue, an important issue that resources need to be pumped into. And then the government will now listen to us, to this our campaigning, and then create policy implementation that will address it and bring about a lasting change. Then we go to the role of citizens. So we are citizens in Nigeria here. What do? Active engagement. So we are responsible for staying informed. You as a citizen, you are responsible for staying informed. What's that word I say? Ignorance is not an excuse. How do they say it? So you cannot claim ignorance and say that, oh, I did not know that if it's an issue that is really affecting, what are the policies? Are there policies that have been implemented? Okay, if there are policies, is there even a policy at all? If there's not a policy, has it been implemented? If they're implemented, how much have been budgeted for this kind of line of action that we want to be addressed? So you have to stay informed. Put your ear down. Are there meetings? Are there town hall meetings? Are there there's something called public hearing. Is there an issue? Okay. Town hall meetings with community leaders. There's also public hearing meetings with our legislators. If you are opportune to attend all those meetings, closed door meetings with legislators, press briefings, if you are opportune, attend. It is your right. You are a citizen of the country. Attend and state your claim and say this is an issue that needs to be brought to the front burner. Then accountability and voting. One very key way for us as citizens to advocate is by voting. Your vote counts. Your vote really counts. Don't go and stay at home. Don't go and say, I beg, I'm not interested. Right now that we are in the political cycle, that we are gearing up for the next elections, who are the candidates available? Hear what they have to say. Do they have plans for persons with disabilities? If they don't, is there a way I can begin to bring it to their forefront, to talk to them and say that these are issues? Do you have any plan? How do you plan to implement it? What do you plan on making a budget allocation for inclusivity and things like that? Then personal advocacy, direct one-on-one engagement with vulnerable individuals to ensure their views are considered in decision making. Like Madam Bolanle has said, Madam Ijoma has said, the personal advocacy that you do one-on-one, talking to people, this is how we from our cluster like to be addressed. You don't say words like this. That is personal advocacy. You are talking to vulnerable people and also trying to also know, because there might be peculiar issues that affect you, but somebody else in your cluster might have another different kind of issue. So talking to that person, and if you think that, oh, you're in a right place, or you've been opportune to talk to decision makers and policy makers, that is where personal advocacy comes. You talk to these people one-on-one, and then you're also able to engage with those policy decision makers. And then the last actors that we'll have please go to the next slide. The last actors that we have in advocacy, they are the government and agencies in advocacy. What does the government, after all our clamoring, our bringing to the front burner, our letting them know about issues that are important to us, the role of government is what? Policy implementation. And like I said earlier, that we have very good policies in Nigeria, but the issue that we have is implementation. And so government has a key role in making a successful advocacy effort. They are responsible for translating the advocated needs into functional public services and regulation. And then dialogue facilitation. The government is supposed to provide platforms for us to talk to them. I can remember during Obasanjo's time that he used to do this presidential talk. I don't know if I was much more younger then, but I remember that was when I knew about the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Information. Like, they gave platforms for these key decision makers to talk about what they're actually doing. And so that is the role of governments. So it's also a call, like like I said, we are in an economics electoral cycle right now. You can listen to begin to listen to key people that want to go for election. What plans do you have to ensure that governments create platforms for us to air our views as citizens? Then collaborative governance. The government partners with non-state actors to reach hard-to-reach communities where state presence may be weak. Who are the non-state actors? The CSOs and the private institutions. So we all work together. We all work together to make successful advocacy efforts. So we'll now look at some case studies. Just one case study, a case study of a successful advocacy effort and an unsuccessful advocacy effort. Yes, so a successful advocacy effort was a maternal and child health prioritization that happened. I can't remember the year right now, but there's a lot of funding. My former boss used to travel a lot to Kaduna and many of the Kaduna, Kano, I think, and Kebbi to teach and just to see how government's funding for reduction in maternal mortality was being used. And it was really successful because even though we have their cases of maternal mortality, but you can really see that government has pumped in money to ensure that there's reduction in maternal mortality, that women are not dying during childbirth. So, and reason, what was the key factor in making this advocacy effort successful was that CSOs and even the private institutions, they provided evidence-based advocacy, like that's the policy influence, like show the effort. This is the number of men that are dying. We can't have women, like Nigeria cannot be part of the high countries where women are dying during childbirth. So they provided the facts and figures, provided evidence to the policymakers, and money was being allocated to that cause. And a failed one is a very recent one, the End SARS movement. The reason why it was failed, because I personally think that we were gaslit. I don't know about you, but we were gaslit. Like during the protest when they came and a lot of people were clamoring for End SARS and things like that. Although it felt like it was disbanded, the SARS unit was disbanded, but still there are still pockets of police brutality happening around, and the government did not listen to the youths. There was no, I don't know if anybody is aware of, maybe there was a time that government actually sat and talked to the youths that were clamoring or saying, okay, why are you people on the street protesting against the SARS units? So the government did not provide. The reason why this failed was because effectiveness was hindered by government's repression. The government kind of repressed the voices of the youths. And some people believe that some people were massacred. But today, has any government come to say that some people were killed during? No government has said anything. So it made that advocacy unsuccessful, because up till now, there are still people that are hurt by that incident. There are people that lost loved ones during that advocacy effort. So that is an example of a failed advocacy. So I've come to the end of my slide, but we have like a task that I want us to do. Can you go to the next slide? Yes, does anybody know this stakeholder mapping grid? Have we seen this grid before? The stakeholder mapping grid. So the 4 quadrants. So let me just give you a basic, because the stakeholder mapping grid is it's a bit technical, but I would just like to give just a quick explanation of what stakeholder mapping really is, so that you understand. Because as a Ijoma, so as an advocate, when you're advocating for things, I'm trying to explain what the stakeholder mapping grid means now. So there are 4 quadrants. You can see there's keep satisfied, engage and consult, monitor, and keep informed. When you are trying to do a successful advocacy in whatever way, you have to identify the key actors, the people that can make a change, the people that are being affected. Yeah, the people that can bring about a change, and the people that change is affecting. So you have to map them out on the quadrants. So here we have influence of power. Influence of power means that who are those people that they have the power, they have the resources to bring about that change. They are here. And then, these are people that I bring here. And then people that have less influence, people that the change affects, but they don't have the money, they don't have the resources, they don't have the voice to advocate for themselves. They are the ones that are here. So there's keep satisfied, engage and consult, monitor, and keep informed. So when you are trying to map stakeholders, okay, what is an issue that's very like this issue is disturbing? I don't know, maybe like out of school children, right? Okay, let's talk about out of school children. So you are trying to figure out who is that legislator who is a senator, a House of Representatives that maybe you've seen that in past this thing, he has actually talked about it, or he has passed a bill about that. He has the resource. He's a key person. He has the he's a legislator and a policy influencer, a policy maker, and he's somebody that you'd be like, if you talk to him and say, can we still bring this issue back to the front burner? He's somebody that'll be interested. What do? You keep him here. So you keep him here. So you state all this in the out of school children or people that maybe like people in your locality, like a local government chairman, that you know that also is somebody that can bring about a change. He might not have the resources, but maybe he has close ties with that policy maker. He has close ties with that legislator. You can say, okay, let me put him here, monitoring him. Because he's also somebody that is interested in the issue, but might not have much resources, so you keep him here. Then maybe the people that this change needs to be brought about, like this out-of-school children, maybe their parents or guardians or issues or whatever, they don't have the resources to bring about a change. They don't even have the voice, but they are aware that this is something you want to bring to the front burner. You keep them informed about all the issues that you are trying to make about them, the advocacy efforts you are making, all the efforts you are making. They engage and consult. It could be a legislator, it could be like a private person that has the resources, has the money. He might not be able to make the change, but he has the resources, like someone in a private institution that would be like, this man has done some philanthropic efforts. I've seen him spending money in schools or whatever to keep children in school. You can reach out to this person and continue to engage and consult, because many a times this person will have close ties with a policymaker, will definitely be in close connection with them. So it's a bit technical, but that's not even the task. It's just a brief introduction to the stakeholder mapping. But I just want us in our different clusters right now, I want us to identify a problem that we want to advocate for. So this is the task: identify a problem we want to advocate for. And what is at stake if this problem remains unaddressed? Like in the long term, if this problem remains unaddressed, what are the long-term consequences? What is at stake? And then now identify the relevant stakeholders. So identify government bodies. The government bodies, the NGOs that you believe, who are these NGOs that are active in this particular cause, that this is the cause that they are fighting for and advocating for. You identify them. And then in private sector, I see that maybe they've done certain CSR in that regard. You identify them. And a community leader that I know that in your area or in your state or whatever, that you feel like, oh, this person can be a key member for my advocacy, like an important member to my advocacy, to make my advocacy successful. You identify those people. And so that's just what, and then you can now come, a person from each cluster will just come and talk about how they plan to go and reach out to that policy, work with these people, like the NGO, the private people, and reach out to the policy, the decision makers, those policy makers, people that can influence or make about a change, bring about a change. So please. Yes. So these are the questions. So just ignore the place the stakeholders on a grid and just discuss within yourself, identify the relevant stakeholders, and then one person can just come from each cluster and just talk about how you intend to go about your advocacy. Yes, sorry for the break. I have to quickly take a call. So I hope the task is clear. Is it 15? So we have just 10 minutes, 5 minutes for you to think of. It doesn't have to be in depth. It's just for us to have an idea of the, because when you're advocating, you have to be aware of the stakeholders involved in your advocacy. So just a another help or something. You can go online and search for private multinationals that are interested in your cause. So that helps too. Multinationals that are, if yeah, so what I was saying, that it's good to add facts and figures like evidence, numbers. 80 million youths are unemployed in Nigeria. It's good to put those because it makes your case much more impactful than just stating mere sentences. Who was even keeping the time? How many minutes has gone now? Remember, it's just 10 minutes we have. That's it. That's it. And the second facilitator is here already, please. more minutes. 5 more minutes. In fact, the 5 minutes itself is even for your presentation. So you're already eating into just to quickly, because each of the clusters have to quickly just present. Can identify relevant stakeholders, government body, what ministries, what agencies, the NGOs, what NGOs. Then private sector, you can go online to search for private organizations that that have resources to fund this cause. People are not writing. You're not using the picture. Okay, I think our time is up. Our time is up. It's time. Okay, it's time for the presentations. Just very quickly, 90 seconds for each cluster. 90 seconds for each cluster, and I'll be timing you guys. So, just very quickly. So, what cluster is going first? What cluster? Please, oh, time is up. Oh, this is already. No, no more five, mommy. This 2 o'clock. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for us to exercise what we have learned and just be, yeah. You say? But it's just one person from each cluster that's going to represent your cluster and talk about. Huh? No. Please, if you see a call again, just let me know. Just one person. It's time, it's time, it's time. So who wants to go first? Okay, I think you guys are ready now. Okay, please. Yes. 90 seconds. So let me set my timer. 90 seconds for each. Set timer. Yes, yes, yes. For each cluster, please.
All right.
Okay, so for our cluster, the problem, we try to define the problem